Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the Unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're on another show here. And, look, this whole month is like Women's History Month. And the day is International Women's Day. So, finger snaps on that one, totally. And before I even introduce myself, since my mother made me, I guess along with my father too. But since they kind of combined to make me, I just want to give this little shout out to women. And a lot of times when I'm in my class, especially when I was international, a whole lot of times when I was international, I would definitely do this. And I want to say to all you women around the world, okay? It's not enough for y'all holding spaces in this community. It's not enough women agile coaches. It's not enough women trainers. It's not enough women doing any of this stuff, period. And so I always say, especially, in my classes, women, you're going to have to do something to change that. And again, I choose the challenge of kind of making sure that you all kind of get in the door, get through the door, but you all got to take those steps and kind of get yourselves moving forward in those directions. So my statement to you clearly is enjoy your day, but I just got to say this space needs you more than ever. It hasn't changed, and it's been that way since I've been around Scrum, Agile in general. When I went to my first conference, I think there was maybe about 5 women there. I could be wrong, but there's maybe 3 to 5 women there, and that was it, right? That was it. So I remember being Esther Derby, Diane Larson, and Lisa Atkins. When I went to my first Scrum gathering, I think it was the second one ever in 2005. That's what I saw, and it was like 40 to 50 guys, right? I was the only black one, but they're 40 to 50 guys, right? And so it's always been that way. And I always get excited when I have a training classes and nothing but women because I feel like I'm, having part of the cause, right? So that being said, I'll say it again. Take your space. You deserve to be in a space. And for anyone who agrees with that, give me a thumbs up. Say something in the comments because the idea is that y'all need to start breaking down the doors. I love seeing the Me Too movement. I like seeing a lot of things that are changing, but it's not changing enough. Right? So let's just make sure we do that. Now, I do want to talk about a few things, and we're going to start off with this kind of being a Success Monday. But before we go there, I have my U crew. And I always like to make sure that I show my U crew, the ones that are helping me in the background, even though they're likely not going to be waving because every time I go to show them, they always got something better that they're doing. Okay, so now we finally got them waving, and there's at least one of them that never shows up on camera. I'm not gonna say his name at all, but he never shows up on camera. But that's okay. I'm not gonna be upset at him. Maybe he shows up once or twice, but and then there's actually, yeah. Just I like to see them, right? So they're the ones that's helping me. So just know that as we kind of move forward and we do what we need to do. So a couple of announcements I want to make sure that we're good. Just so you all know, I've actually done something that is important that I do once a quarter, and that is have a hardship class. Now I have a CSM class come in March 22nd. I have an actual advanced certified Scrum Master class coming probably on the 24th of March. But on April 5th and 6th, got a hardship class, and that hardship class we're pricing at 250. We're doing that because we're trying to get people through the door, right? Especially people that are having hardship. And then there's going to be a CSPO that will be backing that up. There's going to be this 7th and 8th, but whatever that first week is, we're going to have both of those classes at 250 each. So I want to make sure people know about that. So if you know someone who could benefit from this certification, okay, that could take advantage of this certification, a certified Scrum Master, a certified Scrum Product Owner, then guide them our way to come and take part of that, because I think it's something they can take advantage of. Okay, so that at least takes care of that. Now, I guess other stories that I can tell during this, but I'm going to start this off by actually bringing someone on immediately. So then we can at least start those conversations that I like to have. So let me go ahead and get our guests together, and then we'll go ahead and just kind of jump into things and then just kind of go from there. Shahid, how are you?
Hey, Devon.
How's it
I'm
going?
very well. Thank you very
Okay.
much for asking.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. First of all, I want to say I appreciate you joining the show. And as I said in the beginning, this is going to be kind of like a success Monday, because I got several people that I've asked over time, as you have your success, come to the show and tell us a little bit about your journey, right? What got you, what brought you to Scrum, what kind of impact has it had on you, and then what your journey was like. So I'll let you, Shahid, introduce yourself, and understand I will throw a couple questions in here and there. But one of the reasons, and I'm telling the entire audience here, the main reason why I want to do this is because I run into so many people, Shahid, that don't believe they can do it. Does that make sense? Like, I run into a ton of people who don't believe they can become a CSP, a CST, a CTC, a CEC, or do any of these things, let alone get that certification and get a job with that certification. So tell us your story, and I'll ask some questions along the way.
Okay, sounds good. So I think I took your class early January, and prior to that,
Now,
and
Shahid,
mine was a
you was a part of the actual um, hardship class.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, I just mentioned the hardship class to everyone else. And so this is really important, because we literally had in the hardship class over 100 people between those two classes. So
Right.
I know you was in a CSM, CSPO. Which one was you in?
CSM.
In the CSM, we had 50 plus people. And I
Yes.
had to take like 15 and move them to another class, so and then we can make room in that class and not make it so big. But continue the story. This is good. This is exciting me, right? Because I like to see people take it and take advantage of it. So I'll let you talk.
Yes. So, as soon as I decided to do the CSM, I went onto the web and started looking at, instructors and available classes and so on and so forth. And everybody had, you know, some pros and cons. And, then I stumbled upon your listing, and what really struck out to me was the fact that you you were offering the hardship, option,
Mm-hmm.
and that really hit me that okay, this guy is just not a teacher, a instructor, but he's also connecting with people on a human level,
Yeah.
and that was very encouraging for me. That really made me, even though it was difficult even at that time, even
Mm-hmm.
with that amount, but it made me feel that I really need to take advantage of this opportunity, and experience what Divan is how Divan is going to talk about agile and Scrum. So that's how I got into your class, and then lo and behold, the 2 days were fantastic experience. Um, Learned the names of many things that I was doing already in my jobs,
Okay. Okay.
such as the product backlog. We just never call
Yeah.
it product backlog. We
Hmm.
just call it like. bunch of requirements.
Mm.
We had Scrum sessions, but
Uh-huh.
we just called them status meetings. So a lot of times, we were using a lot of agile methodology terminal. I mean, in its spirit, we were using the Scrum ideas, but
Mm-hmm.
we were just not using the methodology and the acronyms and the names.
Okay.
Um, so right after your class, I went out to LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
updated my profile,
Okay.
updated my resume, and so on and so forth. And you know the PMP certification, the CSM certification, the Agile Practitioner ITIL. So
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of added or gave my profile the um, I wouldn't say legitimacy, but also um, experience because now I
Okay.
could talk in that language
Okay.
because I already had 10 plus years of project management experience
Okay.
to back it up with. And then it was just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
Went through a round of interviews with different companies, and March 1st
Okay.
started a new position.
Wow, wow, wow. So here's a question for you. Now you're on the job and you actually see Scrum. You see Scrum
Right.
in that environment. And while we're in class, we're actually learning Scrum by doing Scrum. Okay? So you
Mhm.
remember how we went through that process. My question for you is, how much did it help you by learning Scrum in the class? And how does that look in the real world?
Um, I would say that it looks very much the same except for different companies and different environments do things differently.
Yeah.
So the older the company is, the longer the people have been in there,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
add, some,
Yeah.
if it's just, you're eating plain vanilla as a
Mm-hmm.
scrum, they will add some strawberries in it, some
Yeah, they do.
chocolate chips
Yeah.
in it,
Yeah.
they,
They
they'll
do.
they'll try to mix it up.
They do.
And it, in my experience, that has I wouldn't say that has hurt, but that has
Okay.
helped
Okay.
because it allows people to then, make a distinction that
Mm-hmm.
what is the real Scrum, what hybrid things that we do, you know.
Okay.
So you're right. I mean, I saw it very vividly that we in this current position we do have a 15-minute stand up
Yeah. Yes,
call
we do.
every day, and in that one we do talk about our constraints, we do talk about our impediments, we do
Mm-hmm.
talk about helping others out at the same
Yeah.
time. So those 15-minute sessions are really really powerful and productive. And then we have a Kanban board as well,
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna
for
have
our
that. You're gonna have some
for
board to
our
show
for our
everything.
defect management.
So
Absolutely.
so that
Yeah.
means you're not doing. So that means you're not doing perfect Scrum. You're actually doing Scrum butt. You know how we talk about in
You
the
can say that.
class? Is Scrum butt is not exactly 100% exactly what they say that's in the book, but you're able to apply what you've learned on the ground from what you learned in class, right?
Absolutely. Yes. hmm
And
In
that's the
fact,
key.
that is the key. I just had another, uh, you know, um, I was part of another meeting, and in that
Uh huh.
meeting, they were actually talking about using Scrum in its more pure form or shape
Mm.
rather than adding things to it. So there is a desire.
Okay.
There are champions. There
Yeah.
are ambassadors of
Yeah.
Scrum in this
Okay.
team, and I think in the next 6 months, 9 months, I think we will start moving more towards the true spirit of how to do scrums and shorter sprints, a lot of time on retrospective
Hmm.
to fine tune what we didn't do right in the last
Okay.
sprint. Mhm.
So let me ask you another question. Assuming that I'm the best trainer on the planet, let's not talk about that at all. But let's just assume I'm the best trainer on the planet, right? My question for you is, what tip would you give someone in terms of finding a job? you have some advantages, right? You have additional certifications beyond just Scrum. So you're a PMP. When you walked in the door to that class, you was already a PMP. Because I remember you asking about PDUs, and you keep bugging me about those PDUs, right? So you was asking me questions about those things, right? But when you think about that process, when you come out that class, you don't have a job, you got to figure out how you're going to move forward. What advice would you give people?
I think one advice that actually this morning I talked to some young folks within that company,
Okay.
and they asked me the exact same question. So, what I told them is that in your interviews, focus on both things equally, the technical element of your position
Mm-hmm.
and your soft skills. And in some cases, if you have to go 60% and 40%, I would say go 60% in your soft skills
Mm-hmm.
and lower down your technical skills to 40%.
Okay.
That much I have seen, because in organizations,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're matrix organizations or projectized organizations, people's skills are key.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Stakeholders, even people who are not impacting directly your project, but
Uh
they
huh.
have the enough influence to kind of sway your team in different directions, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you gotta have uh, diplomatic skills. You gotta have communication skills. You have
Mm-hmm.
to have a lot of patience,
Okay.
because a lot of times things will not go your way. Even in an interview, you might think you may have impressed the other person, but guess what? You may not have. And then he or she will give you a follow up challenging question.
That's true.
So stay humble, stay confident, but then be aware that
Mm-hmm.
they are judging your technical skills and your soft skills at the same time. And in some cases, more soft skills than technical skills.
And a lot of these soft skills don't necessarily come with a certification, right?
Oh, no,
They
absolutely
don't.
not.
They don't come,
No.
but you could actually take a class here, or you can go. You look on YouTube for some things, right? There's many places where you can go and try to get these soft skills, right? Because a lot of times, what people don't realize is you can have as many certifications as you want to have. If they don't feel like you fit in their environment, you're probably not gonna get the
Mhm.
job, right?
You're very right. Absolutely. And I'll give you an example. I'll give everybody an example from your class. You started doing those breakout sessions of four or five people, right?
Yeah. Uh
You
huh.
gave us 15 minutes and a problem to solve
Yeah.
or contribute towards the class. I found those 15-minute breakout sessions as a good test of your soft skills,
Yes.
because we were all, coupled into a room. Somebody had 30 years of experience, somebody had
Mm-hmm.
5 years of experience, somebody had
Mm-hmm.
my level of experience, but we were all different people,
Mm-hmm.
man, women, old, young, right?
Yeah.
So those rooms really tested our soft skills as well as
Mm-hmm.
we were learning the Scrum class.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that people can practice and rehearse during those 15-minute breakout sessions. How their soft skills are in terms of
Yeah.
negotiating,
Yep. Yep.
or giving your opinion in a way that you kind of influence other people's thinking. Mhm.
Yeah. And if you're not, and let's just say you're not in my class, right? Let's just say you're in life every day, right? You can volunteer some organization, right? And that's
Right.
likely going to have people that you will have to deal with. There's a lot of people that have some religious direction that they live in, right? And that might be a good place for you to interact because we're talking about interactions here. We're not talking about
Mhm.
anything up and beyond other than interactions. That's it. It's just interactions we're talking about there, right? And so it's one of those things where you give people an opportunity to just kind of grow. Now, here's another question for you. And hopefully everybody understands and you're listening. We're doing this for a reason. Shahi came on because he decided to. I didn't twist your arm and say, come on over and make it happen, right? Here's a question for you. How long was it that you was without a job?
I think about 6 months.
About 6 months. That's a long period of time. That's a
Mhm.
long period of time. And there are some people out here that's been out here a little less than you, been out longer than you. And to think about this whole pandemic and how it's happened had an impact on people's lives. You look at the state of politics in the US, all these things have had an impact on a lot of people. So, how did you stay motivated?
Um, it was not always very easy, I'll be very honest. Um, but I had it in the back of my mind that I probably would not have anything positive happening in the year 2020.
Okay,
So
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the September, October, November, December, I fundamentally lowered my expectations
Mm,
because the elections were happening, the economy was down, the pandemic was in the second surge or something like that,
yeah,
and so I didn't expect to be on the job during
yeah,
2020.
yeah.
But as the year turned, elections took place, vaccines came out. I think
Mm-hmm,
that built everybody's confidence in the industry, in general
mm-hmm,
public. We all started feeling more motivated and more, committed to continuing what we were doing. Now, having said that, the six
yeah.
months, but I was also doing some on the side consulting work
Okay,
as a private contractor. I
yeah,
was working with a law firm actually to develop a case management system for them with a bunch of developers. So that was an exercise that I was
yeah,
doing a, in a Scrum environment as I was going through my unemployment days.
yeah.
So, but again, it was not easy, but everybody has to find their own
Yeah.
motivation, right? So my motivation was that I had a fulfilling career with Accenture for a very
Mm.
long time. Um, we parted ways because of the pandemic. We
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
parted ways because of
Yeah.
anything wrong that I did.
Yeah.
So it was understood that my skills, my capabilities were very valued over there. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic made it
Had an impact.
unbearable for
Yeah.
yeah. So having said that, I think I found um, positivity in prayer. I found positivity in people. I
Mm-hmm.
found positivity in relationships.
Mm.
So it was a mix of all those things, Devon, honestly,
Okay.
that kept me going.
That's good. I'm proud of you. I know you have sent other people. You've sent someone recently to come to the actual the hardship class that's coming. And I remember them sending me pictures of what happened to them, due to this thing in Texas that happened a few weeks ago in terms of the cold weather. And I think they're going to get a lot of value.
Yeah,
Man, I want
absolutely.
you to keep motivating people because we're just in that place where people just need just a little flicker of hope, right? Just a little
Yeah.
flicker of hope, right? And that's what I want you to keep doing. So I charge you to keep doing that, Shahid. And I appreciate you coming on, man. I really,
No,
really
thank
do.
you.
And
Thank
taking the
you.
time. So
Glad to
thank
be with
you.
you.
And if you need anything from me, you obviously have my email.
Yeah, I know where to find you, Devon.
You know where to find me. I can't run and hide from you. So I
Yeah, you
appreciate you
can.
and I appreciate the time, Shahid. And stay in touch. Let me know how it's going. Come back if you have any questions about anything. And I help you out. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank
My
you very
brother, I
much.
appreciate you. You have a good
All
one,
right.
okay?
You too. Bye.
That was amazing. Now, first thing I want to ask, I want to jump and do this. I want everybody to subscribe. Before we talk about anything else, make sure you take a moment and subscribe to the show. I also want you to notice something. Do you see it? Do you see it over there? Remember I promised that book list? Well, you can join the book club, but I'm going to talk about that toward the end, okay? But you can join the book club. Just know you go there, I will show you how to get through things. But let me talk to our next guest because I got a next guest that's coming here. If you have any questions, you are welcome to come and join the Discord to ask a question that you may have. We may have a spot or two available. I'm not sure what the moderators who is in there, but the idea is that if you have any questions, you're always welcome to join the show. Let's continue this wonderful journey, okay? So I'm going to bring our next guest on, and this is going to be a lovely thing for me right here. Hey, how you doing there?
Yeah, doing well. Yourself?
I'm good. It's been a little bit of time, hasn't it?
It was 2013 when we last saw each other. It's been quite a while.
Now, what city did you train in?
I believe you were doing a class in Columbus, Ohio. Does that sound?
I've never been to Columbus.
Oh
since.
man, then where did? I remember it was somewhere here in the Midwest, and I traveled.
No. It's probably Indianapolis.
It was Indianapolis.
It was Indianapolis because it was the first class in Indianapolis that I had done. Now, for everybody to understand and know, let me give you a little background here. I did not become a certified Scrum trainer until 2013. So it's my first year, man. It's my first year being a trainer, right? And I'm just motivated. I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to change the world. That's what I'm going to do. And people would always say about me, he's like a preacher. When he get on talking about this whole agile thing, he runs to the other side of the room, then runs to the other side of the room. That's probably those days when I was doing that, man.
And it was great. It was great. I loved it. Yeah, because we had some Angie's List folks in there.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Because they're over in Indy, that's right.
Yep, some Angie's List folks. We had some folks in there from the Marines, right? And yep. I believe it was a weekend class.
Oh, you're better man than I.
It was a weekend class. It was a weekend class because it was the first class that I did in Indianapolis. And Indianapolis, I've had a wonderful time in Indianapolis. Period. It's close to Chicago. I enjoy being in the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. So anyway, enough about me. Introduce yourself, my friend. And we're calling this Success Mondays because we've had people that want to come and just motivate other people. With this pandemic going on, it's International Monday. Ladies, do you see I only got guys showing up here? Do you see this? Do you notice that, ladies? Are you seeing? I only have guys showing up here? So y'all gonna have to do something about that. But introduce yourself.
Yes, sir.
So we can learn more.
Yeah, Jason Sattler. I am a software professional. I started off as a software developer, spent a lot of my time in security, defense, medical devices, and had my own consulting company up until 2013. Okay. I'd worked with a variety of methodologies, all the different water giles and, various shades of agile. Okay. But the problem I ran into in 2013 is that the bottom dropped out of my market that I was doing consulting in. Okay. I was looking to get into e-commerce and just get into something different. Yeah. Try to not do something that killed people. So get out of the DoD thing and get into something a little different. Okay. So the problem I ran into was, while I felt I had a reasonable understanding of Agile, and I had I didn't have the paperwork. I didn't have that certificate. So after being unemployed, essentially, when you own the company, when nothing's coming in, unemployed for the better part of 10 months, I need to get this certification, and how am I going to afford a certification after being unemployed for 10 months? So it was extremely daunting. I was extremely concerned. And then I talked to you, and you worked a deal with me. It worked. I don't know how many hardships you'd done before then, but we worked something out, and it allowed me to get the certification, the Scrum Master certification, which allowed me within 4 weeks to get a job. That's awful nice to get a paycheck after not having one for the better part of a year. Unless you've gone through it, you just really don't quite understand the anxiety of that situation. So I got into e-commerce. You allowed me to do that by giving me that certification, by facilitating that. That allowed me to bring Agile into e-commerce consulting world, which is pretty I mean, water gile is about as agile as they get, even
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But was able to, I mean, literally the first project I got assigned to, it's a household name,
Yeah.
and they wanted to know about what our process was going to be. And, you know, I'm getting up there and I talk about agile because they didn't have a whole good methodology written down. So
Okay.
we started that project agile, we rolled it out, and it got traction within the company. Just because we got a little push going there because the client then started asking for it.
Nice.
Had a lot of success over my 3 years there at that company doing Kanban and Scrum. Just depends on whether it was a maintenance contract or a development contract.
Now here's a question for you. Why you say that, right? You said Kanban, you know, however you guys want to pronounce it, right? And so you said you're using Scrum and you're using Kanban. And you mentioned 2 different areas that you would utilize that in. Why would you pick to use Kanban on one thing and Scrum on another?
So I really like Scrum for the development effort, a delivery project, because you can fail fast, you can reach some nice set goals, you can see some deliverables.
Yeah.
You don't always know where you're going to end up, but you know how you're going to try to get there.
Okay.
And that works great for that. And I found that doesn't always work well in a maintenance mode where the client needs something and they want something put together, and when they get enough functionality, they want to cut it and say, okay, this is what we want to put live.
Yeah.
Or we just need this. And so you violate so many aspects of the sprint, the time box, by saying, well, we really need about 2.5 sprints. Well, that doesn't work well. Okay. Or we need a half a sprint. We just need this done. Yeah. So for that, I found that Kanban really worked well in that maintenance sort of mode where you're trying to get stuff put in as fast as possible.
Now, I like that. I like that. Now, here's the deal. Now, I always have to do this, Jason, because you've been around Agile and Scrum more than 8 years at this point, right?
Right.
And there are going to be people that will see this, and some of them will see it in the future, right? And they don't know what we're talking about when we say, especially a Kanban, maybe, right? And so if I was to give you a little definition of Kanban, and you tell me if this is right or wrong, it's kind of a work limited pull system. That's really all it really is, a work limited pull system. And you get a list of items and you just grab the one that's at the top of the list and you work that one. While, as you heard Jason say, Scrum has this time box associated with it. Regardless of what you want to call it, there's a time box. And one of the things that you're not supposed to violate during that time box is the commitment. You commit to a certain thing, you want to try to get to the end and get that certain thing done. And that can be difficult when you are in operations or maybe in maintenance and they just got a list of things they want you to do. They don't really care if it's in a sprint. They don't care if they may want it delivered very often. They may want it all delivered at the end, but it just doesn't always work very well with the time box. Not that there's something wrong with Scrum. What Jason's really saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, is that you looked at the type of effort, the type of work you needed to do, and then you picked the best tool to solve the problem, right?
That's exactly right.
That's all we're really saying. Yep. Nothing more than that. And so I'm letting people know that. So please, please, please go look up Kanban. Learn about Kanban. Along with learning about Scrum. Learn about extreme programming. Don't think Scrum is the only thing in a building, because it's not. Use the best thing to solve the problem. So let's continue.
Well, the key thing there is that in both of them, it's most business value first.
That's it. Whoa! Wait a minute. Did you just say that? Let me hit the applause, man. Let me hit the applause. Everybody, give me a thumbs up for that, right? Because the idea is this. You heard him say it's about what? Say it again.
Most business value first.
Hold on. I'm going to change that up. Wait a minute. That's what that one is worth, okay? Because one of the things, and Jason, you tell me if you haven't noticed this, a lot of people who are involved in our space, do they think business value first?
Absolutely not.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo-hoo! Do you understand? Did you not hear that man preach that statement, right? Because the statement is, people do not focus on business value. Value to the customer, value to the user, value to somebody. And I would venture to say that one of the differences between the reason why people like you working with them, especially the people beyond the development team, right? Beyond the scrum team, beyond the Kanban team, is because you focus on what?
It's all about the business value.
Woo! You understand where I'm coming from? And a lot of people don't get that, Jason. A lot of people don't get that. That's a huge problem. And I don't know. I'm gonna take the credit and say Scrum maybe gave you a little flavor of that, a sprinkle of that. But I know by you owning a business, there was also that that focused you there.
Oh, you've got to. I don't see how you can't focus on what's the biggest value. I mean, you're walking along the street, you see a 20 and you see a penny. Which one you going to pick up? Okay.
My man.
Come on, man.
My man.
Gonna pick up the 20. I mean, I like Abe, but but that's really the key thing, and that's the whole notion about the MVP. You got to make it hurt practically to the point of what are you throwing out so that you get down to the most value, because otherwise, why are you doing it?
I mean, it's what's the point, right? And you've been in that situation like I have. Like probably most people have that will watch this or is watching this right now. You've been in that situation where you've gotten to the end of an effort and it was shelved or it didn't really deliver value. You've experienced that before.
Oh, it's painful.
Nobody likes that. Even though it wasn't your money, even though you know it doesn't have a real impact on you, people want to work on purposeful work.
Absolutely. You only go around once, so you don't want to spend your time writing software that's going to go on a shelf and never get used.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that at all. I mean, you're singing my song completely, because one of the things that I try to focus on in a classroom setting, but more, and the thing that's really, really funny is back then, Jason, I literally had just learned the value of a product owner, like in 2012. Like literally. I've been doing Scrum since 2005 and went to 2012 before I really learned that a product owner was truly valuable because they're driving the value of the effort.
You can't, you've got to have that product owner. I've got one right now on my current project, and she is just amazing. And when you've got, and I've worked with a couple really good ones over the years, and at least the 3 of the 4 I can think of are just absolutely top-notch people that they push for the value, they push for the what does it really need to be, and then when they go through and they're just doing the refinement to the backlog. It's just magical sometimes when you get a really good product owner.
It's an amazing thing. And I can't say to you I've had 1,000,001 great product owners. Most of the times I'm working for these really big organizations and they don't pay no attention to the product owner. But in today's world, and if I walk into a client site, man, I'm like grabbing product owners and hugging them to bring them over real quick, right? Because it's an immediate thing that I'm jumping into. Before 2012, I wasn't doing that at all, man. I was just like, hey, man, if you got somebody and they can write a requirement, they can be the product owner.
Oh,
They could be the product
Ouch.
owner, right?
Ouch.
And that's painful, right? Because you just basically working with what they give you, right? Because a lot of our higher ups don't realize how important it is to have somebody driving the value on the ground. Just because you've given an objective, we still need to meet that, but we got to meet that through delivering bits and pieces of this to get us there.
Yeah, that's it. The difference is, I can use a spatula and flip a burger, but I'm no Emerald, right? So
Yeah.
you've got to have somebody that really understands it and can really put together some craftsmanship there, because otherwise you're going to end up with hamburgers instead of just a five-star meal.
My man, that's the word. Look, hey, he said a word there that I have to stop on because it's another magical word. Craftsmanship. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I mean, when you see the beauty of that craftsmanship with that product backlog, it's magical.
It's
magical.
It is. They've really put thought into it. They've put their heart and their soul into it. It's just, it probably sounds crazy to some people watching that you can get excited about a product owner and the craftsmanship going into backlog refinement, backlog grooming for the North Americans. But
now, hold up. Now you Scrum has taken you out of the country.
It has.
And you have seen that some people are not fond of the word grooming, right? In terms of product backlog.
I've kind of took that in, and I use refinement now in all cases, just because you never know who you're talking to, where they're from, and you don't want to offer an insult. And we've got international teams now. I've got, I mean, I can't remember the last time I didn't have people on at least 4 continents working on projects. So,
Yeah. And did you? I mean, I want y'all to hear that statement, right? That we are working in today's world in a global culture. It's a global environment, and there are some people that will be offended by you associating the word grooming with the product backlog. Now, we won't discuss on here why that is. Go look it up. Figure it out a bit. But we use the word product backlog refinement. I'm glad you say that. So here's a question I have for you. What kind of journey has Scrum? And here's the deal. The truth is, it's not just Scrum. Scrum just added another tool in your toolkit. It's you. We're going to say that. Okay? So let's say that up front, right? But in terms of since you got that CSM back in the day, what kind of journey have you been on? Where's some of the places you've gone?
I've worked on projects in e-commerce across North America for household names. Mm-hmm. It's taken me to Berlin for 6 months to do a project over there for a client.
I've never been to Berlin, man. I've never been to Berlin.
Oh, they know how to party in Berlin.
I've never been there.
In Munich for the beer, but in Berlin, they know how to party.
Wow.
And again, doing the same type of things. And then I moved to New Zealand for 4 years and got to work on both sides of the Tasman, both in New Zealand and a little bit over in Australia. Wow. And doing work there with again, still international teams, right? A lot of the heavy lift work was being done over in India. When I came back to the U.S., I still worked with teams in India, in the Ukraine.
Wow.
Just, it's a global world, but definitely, the like when you go on a site visit to visit the teams over there, and you end up going, you keep going the same direction until you're back home. That's just like weird.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I mean, and the reason I reached out to you on Sunday when I saw that email come out about the hardship classes is because without that piece of paper, I wouldn't have ended up in Berlin. I wouldn't have ended up in Auckland. I wouldn't have got to visit Brisbane and Melbourne and all these other places. And so, that was why I reached out and I gave you, a belated thank you, even though I did at the time, because I don't know that you see 8-10 years down the road how this certification can affect people and how it can really just open a door. And it's just one door. And even if it's just open a crack and you can get your foot in, then that leads to the next door and the next door. And so that's why I was so excited to, reach out to you and
Man, I'm
support
glad
you
you
out
sent that
here.
email.
And
I'm so glad you sent that email, because the thing is that it's one of those things where people see me and I'm someplace else, right? Okay. But I also want them to see people like you, because you were in the same place where they were at. And it wasn't even a pandemic at that point, right? We're talking about just regular, I'm trying to make a business work and it ain't working out and I'm just unemployed. I'm not making no money regardless, right? And you basically, this little certification has had a humongous impact on your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I can directly attribute it to the first job in e-commerce, which then took me over to Europe and then got me connected with the guys over in New Zealand, and it was responsible for the whole thing.
Man, you got me ready to shed some tears, man.
Dude, it is what it is, and I just, it's definitely worth, you hearing it, and it's worth, people who are watching this to just, if they've got the time, if they've got the interest to and they're in a situation where they can't do it, definitely, they should give you a call. They should see what they can do, because you just never know what it's going to lead to, what kind of door it's going to open.
Yeah, and just remember, and I want you to also help people to understand that it wasn't just the CSM; it's also the things that you did as well. Because you can have that certification, and I've had people show up to me at my daughter's graduation from high school and telling me that they didn't use the dang on certification and they've had it for over a year, right? And so you have to put that thing into play. If you don't put it into play, it won't do anything for you. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like high school algebra. You might use it, you might not use it. Right. If you end up as an engineer, you certainly did. But, you needed to have it to graduate. You needed to have it to open the door to get into college, or you needed to have something as a prerequisite to do something else. You needed to have that way of thinking, that different mindset, that different paradigm of, hey, there's another way to do things. Mm-hmm. And that, just opening your mind like that to a different paradigm just can open the door.
But that's good, because when I think about it, I got my certification from Ken Schwaber back in 2005, right? And, I got it, and I was at State Farm, and I just was working there. I was cool, right? But I'm telling you, it completely opened the door for my transition to Capital One. There's no way. I would have never went to Capital One without having a CSM. I had the PMP as well, but it was that CSM that was the reason why they wanted me to come. Then I had some experience, and it just was a domino effect. If that door didn't open, then I wouldn't be able to get to the next door, and then I wouldn't be able to get to the next door or the next door. And it sounds like that's exactly what happened for you. Now, I have a different question for you. Tell me about some of the differences you felt with the cultures that you've been in since you've been on this journey. Because being able to, I haven't had the opportunity to go work for years overseas or be doing Scrum in as many places as you know. I've kept my butt right here in America because I have kids. I've been go train for a few months, but then I'm back, right? But you've actually almost, just set up a life in place, right?
Oh yeah.
Tell me how that feels in those different cultures.
Well, first off, it's I think every American should go spend 3 months or a year overseas, because you don't appreciate the country that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who considered themselves a patriot before I left, I was never happier being an American once I got back. New Zealand's a fine place. There are a lot of great people. I've got a lot of great friends over there.
Yeah.
But it's just everything's a little different. I mean, it's kind of like, when you go from one side of the country to the other here in the States, there's just different attitudes, different things, and it's very much the same. So I think business is done a little bit differently down in the Australia, New Zealand. There's definitely a little bit more of you need to know people. You need to establish some personal relationships. Yeah. And you need to learn the rules of the game, because sometimes yes means I heard you, not I agree with you.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing.
That is an interesting paradigm, because it's like I remember going over to. I remember being at Capital One and really starting to work with people from India at Capital One, and then going to India and experiencing the culture myself, right? And that was a beautiful thing, because there was it's one thing to humanize people like while you're here, right? So I remember I'd be having a sprint planning meeting in the middle of the night just to kind of make sure that they didn't have to be up all night, right? I do that at different places. But to go there and to see environments, to see different things, to see people trying to do this well, and it's just with that, it's kind of like I've found that in my travels that with Scrum, it's allowed me to have a humanhood. I want to say brotherhood, but I'm not going to say brotherhood on International Women's Day. So it's allowed me to have a humanhood where it's kind of like Scrum has given me this community. Do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. I've met up with people over there for some meetups, Scrum meetups, Agile meetups that just allowed people to get together and chat. And so you walk into a room and there's another American expat, and you find that there's 3 guys from New Zealand and a woman from Singapore who's living in New Zealand now, and everybody finds something to talk about that something that relates them to each other.
Yeah.
And you have some great conversations, and there's that commonality of talking about Agile and talking about, okay, well, what do you do for your retrospectives, and learning about what works for them, and it's from time to time and place to place, people are all the same. So it's really interesting to hear them come and say things that you're like, yeah, I mean, we could be talking about a Scrum team in Ohio, Los Angeles, or Australia, and it's all the same.
And the good thing is that something like Scrum or Agile just starts the conversation. And a lot of times all we need in our society is something of common ground to start the conversation, because we'll find the other ways to connect as humans.
Absolutely. Oh, it does. It does.
That is one of those things where I'm just like, that is amazing. So now I'm going to ask you a different question, man. Have you decided to take the journey through to CSP, Certified Scrum Practitioner?
I have thought long and hard about wanting to become a trainer. Okay. But it's just all the different certifications to do that versus I'm making an impact every day. I feel I'm making an impact every day where I'm at. So it's kind of it'd be great to do that. I've got my product owner cert to go along with the Scrum Master. So I have expanded a little bit, but it's tough to find the time.
Man, you got to make the time, man. What are you talking about? Come on now.
I made the time for the product owner. Made the time for the product owner.
Okay, all right. Now I'm getting on you. This is me getting on you now, right?
And I need it. So.
So it's like this. It's like this. Here's how I'm going to say it to you, Jason, and I'm gonna give it to you straight. You know how I roll.
Oh yeah.
The community has given a lot to you. So my question is, when are you going to start giving back more to the community? You have a lot of stories to tell. Nobody says you need to be a trainer. You work in that whole development space. Developers need this kind of stuff seriously. And so nobody says you got to go all the way to that place. But who says you couldn't become an advanced Scrum Master, practitioner, some type of coach, write some blogs, articles, presentations. So now I'm going a very different place with you, Jason.
It's fair. It's totally fair. All right, I'll do it.
Okay, you gotta do
I'll take
something,
the
man.
next step. I do, because the brewing and barbecuing isn't that's only about 8 months out of the year. So
That's true, but
up
here's the
here.
deal. Here's the deal, right? Your stories are different than my stories. Okay? And your stories have value. And people need to hear your story. You have a story to tell. And I want you to tell that story to people to help motivate them to whatever greatness means for them. Does that make sense? And again,
Absolutely.
it's not even about a certification at all. I'm not saying you to go become any kind of certified anything. But I am saying to you is find a way to take what you have gotten and create some type of platform so you can allow people to come and kind of use your story to build themselves. You understand?
Yeah,
We all
that
stand on
makes sense.
somebody's shoulders, right? And I stand on Ken and Jeff Sutherland's shoulders, and I do things to try to make them proud. They may never know that, but I do things to make them proud, or even not to embarrass them, right? And I would never expect you to embarrass me, thereby embarrassing them. And so, just in us having this conversation and all those years of experience, there's so much that you can give to this community. So I'm
Yeah,
waiting for it.
Okay, man. Yeah, no, that is totally legitimate.
Okay.
And so I will make an effort this year to
Okay.
get out and do some blogging.
Okay. All right. So, and you're going to send that to me so I know where it's located at, right?
Either that, or I'll tag you on LinkedIn if I do it there.
You're going to make sure I know. You're going to make sure I know where it's at so I can keep following you and keep holding you accountable to you making this promise. Everybody, did you hear that? This year, he said he's going to put out 10 blogs. Did you hear that? 10 blogs this
10
year.
part. I
10
missed the 10
blogs.
part.
10. 10 this year. Jason,
Oh man. If you weren't so much fun to hang out with, I'd push back harder. But all right, I'll try for 10. That's my stretch goal.
Okay,
That's my
all right,
stretch goal.
all right. I can roll with that. So I will say to you, Jason, it's about time for our show, man. I'm gonna say I really appreciate you reaching out. One of the things that I always wanted to do with this show is have other people tell their stories. So and then it's just not me preaching to them, right? And they understand there's a place where we make a decision and it opens a door and that opens another door. And then this becomes the story of our life, right? And you've been able to give that to them. So I do appreciate you for doing that. And I do want you to come back on the show in the future after you at least do 2 blogs, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you know how to reach out to me. You need anything from me, brother. But I appreciate you, man. And have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening, I should say. And if you need something, just reach out to me immediately, man.
Oh yeah, and likewise.
Okay? All right, have a good night, okay?
Okay, you have a good one too.
Thank you.
All right.
That was
Cheers.
amazing. I'm going to hit the applause button, everybody. There you go. You got applause going out. I don't do that for too many people. All right, have a good one, man.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That was wonderful. That was wonderful, people. Man, I am so happy because I'm gonna tell you something, people, and I want you to hear me and hear me real clear. I don't do this thing. I did not become a trainer to make money. I became a trainer to open doors. I became a trainer because there was not too many people like me. That's the reason why I became a trainer. Um, I became a trainer because I've been around it for some time, and it's just one of those things for me where when I think about the journey that I've been on, I've touched people and I've tried to open doors. I've had people come to me in hardship. Bearded Eagle has done, I mean, I've done completely free classes time and time again. People come to me with a good enough sob story and they'll be in a class for free. Because at the end of the day, when you give that gift to someone, it's a beautiful thing when you see them use it. And when I look at someone like Jason and seeing the journey that he's been on and how I am living vicariously through Jason's journey because I haven't been to New Zealand, right? I haven't been to Berlin, but I know I could talk to that brother and he can tell me some of those stories. And like my grandmother would do with me, she may not have gone on a trip with me, but I can always go back and tell her that story. And it was like she was there. When Jason is telling me about being in New Zealand, that's like I'm there. When he said Munich, that's like I'm there, man. That's like I'm there, man. It's like I'm there, right? Because I want the best for him, just like I want the best for every single person here. Now, I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to just give an applause because this was a Success Monday, and we've never done this before. And I'm just tipping my hats off to the people that showed up because they volunteered to show up. They didn't have to spend the time. Now, I do want to mention something. You see on the screen over here, over there, over there. You see on the screen, right? devonmorris.com/courses/book list. Please, please, please go ahead and join. Well, you can go there and see the book list. I've only put 5 items there. But because people requested it, we've decided to start a book club. And on that item, you'll see a $49.99 price. But it's not going to cost you $49.99. I just want you to join the book club. And if you go through the process of actually going in, actually clicking it, and I'll show it to you so you understand where I'm coming from. If you go ahead and go to that link right there, and you actually click on it and click take that course, it's going to take you to a page. You go check out the card, and it's going to take you a page where you put your information in, but there's no fee. You will notice that the $49.99 turns into $0. I don't plan to charge anybody for the book club. I just didn't know how else to action it, right? And so what that's going to do is actually have you go into a private group in the website. And this month, we're actually going to read, as I said already, Lisa Atkins' Coaching Agile Teams book. And I would like to get that started in that group, even though I know some people have already ordered it. If you haven't, please grab that book. And we will start the discussion there. There are some group rules there. Please be nice to everybody because we're not going to put up with people being silly and not nice to people. But the idea is with that book club, I said to someone who was brand new to Scrum, read a book a month. And so I want to encourage you to do that. I want us to do that collectively. And we will pick what the next book will be. I'm not going to be the one that's going to pick all the books. We'll get some suggestions together. We'll put it out to the group. We'll let the group vote on it. And whatever the group comes up with is the book that the group will read. Okay? And we'll do some oldies, but we'll also bring in some new flavors too. So, and then we're bringing in the most current information. So please, please, please take a moment, join the book club. Join the Unfiltered Book Club because you asked for it, and I said I would go ahead and do it. And we may start small, but that's okay because I read a book a month, and I encourage people to do it. So I want you to do the same thing, okay? On that note, I'm going to say this has been such an amazing thing today. It's been an amazing thing. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really, really good. Okay. And I hope that the reason why I asked Jason to get more involved in the community, because I want him to open doors for people. That's what I want him to do. I know that there's many people he can open doors for. And if he open doors to people, he's a great person. He's going to open the doors for a bunch of other great people. And all those people are going to be a part of this community that I can smile at and do things with. And that's a beautiful thing. So on that note, I think that's it. I think that's my time. I've gone over the time, people. So on that note, I'm gonna say, hey, peace. It's been a wonderful one today. Look, I'll see you next Monday, same time. Look, make sure you subscribe. Everybody, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you do those kind of things, because guess what? It helps us with the algorithms, right? So my gift to you is that book club. Let's work that book club. Let's read one book a month, and let's get through this year with 10 books read by the end of the year. So, and then we can't say you don't know Agile kind of stuff. Other than that, hey, good night, everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you next week at the same time. Okay?